Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Rogue Wav podcast, the frequency for all things rogue matter. We talk about comics, movies, TV, and pop culture, but most importantly, we talk about all the cool projects we've got coming out on roguematter.com. This podcast is available immediately after the live stream on all major podcasting apps, but watch us live on youtube.com/roguematter and facebook.com/we are Rogue Matter. Join the movement. Go Rogue. I'm your host, Michael Dolce, as always, joined by my cohort in crime, the enigmatic Lord of the Radio himself, Mr. Hassan Godwin. How you doing, sir?
Yay, Wednesday.
Do you like being called enigmatic? Do you feel enigmatic?
I've been called worse, so that's not so bad.
It's not a knock.
It can be. It can be considered so, especially if I'm not enigmatic. Then it's kind of a mocking.
I would call it as I see it. I think
it's a bit of a mockery.
All right.
I said it can be. I didn't say it was.
How have you been between our last show and this show?
I've been amazing.
Really? Were you devastated when you found out Elon Musk was buying Twitter? Did it knock you at your core?
It didn't even move my radar because I don't use Twitter.
No, not at all. Yeah, you don't actually. I'm always tagging you on stuff.
Yeah, as I've famously said, I am not a. I read Twitter. I can look on Twitter.
Yeah.
To determine the top news stories of the day.
Okay.
As it pertains to Twitter and how Twitter feels the top news should be disseminated. Mm-hmm. But I don't really use Twitter. I'm not interested. It's a death trap. It really is.
It's a cesspool. It's a cesspool.
Yeah,
that was, I think, the number one thing that I got out of it, right? Was the fact that all these people were complaining. They're like, oh no, now Twitter's really going to go downhill. And I'm sitting there going like, how does it go anymore downhill?
Oh, it could. I'm sure it could go more downhill. Who knows whether or not this purchase is going to. But I think, that, this is that's a rabbit hole of all kinds of proprietary, personal opinions about whether, oligarchs should be able to own huge swaths of popular media,
but that's a lot of people are asking that, and it's like, I think a lot of like actual sane reporters were like, oh no, a giant billionaire just bought Twitter from a giant billionaire. It's like it wasn't as if it was any different than before. It's just a different billionaire now.
Yeah, I think my point is that I don't think any one billionaire should own like a platform. It's not their fault that the platform exploded into what it is today, but if everyone agrees that it's a hellscape,
mm-hmm.
then maybe we should look at the ownership and the organizational chart of the company and try to determine why. But that's
or we just don't use it, right? Isn't that the ultimate?
That's my solution.
Antidote to it. Although I got to tell you, I've just recently gotten more followers, so now I'm even more engaged.
Yeah, this is how this conversation always goes. Because when I said to you guys before a couple of weeks ago, it's like maybe just don't use it. There were a bevy of excuses as to why you need to use it. So,
oh man, people following my Kickstarter. Hey, Time Trader number 4 got fully funded, so I'm pretty excited about that. And only one stretch goal purposely, so we don't have to ship out as much stuff. Dude, Kickstarters are a lot of work, man. They're just a lot of work. They really are. Yeah. I try to maximize the amount of free time I have, which is now up to like 30 seconds a week.
Well, not to denigrate it, but begging for money is always a lot of work.
No, it's not. See, that's the misconception of Kickstarter, though. It started out that way in terms of I felt like I was like I don't want to use Kickstarter. Like that feels like I'm asking for money.
I'm not saying that it's a bad thing.
No. I know you're not, but what Kickstarter has actually evolved into has become this place that people go to find new stuff now. Like it's actually transformed amongst the community anyway. I don't know what the public perception is, but outside of comics, but inside comics, all the creators are like, because even creators a few years ago who were like, Darren Sanchez and I, who's a frequent guest in the show, we would have these conversations like, I don't want to ask people for money. That's kind of, why am I asking my friends and family for money? Like it felt kind of antithetical to our personal, like, work ethics and our personal, standards in terms of, how we want to present ourselves. But now, because it's become so popular, it's not a question of asking money. It's really, the number one rule of a Kickstarter now is to have the book done. Basically, you're not paying for the book to be produced anymore. The rookies who are doing it maybe for the first time are, but you're actually just coming on here to be like, wow, this is exciting. I want to be a part of it. It's almost like I'm not necessarily I am supporting the creator, but I'm not supporting that creator's dream. I'm more or less getting in on the ground floor with the creator. It feels like it's kind of turned into that, but I don't know what we got here. But anyway.
I mean,
it's Time Trader. Yeah,
it is what it is.
Yeah.
To the consumers and whatever, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's still asking for money.
Yeah, it is.
Pertains to
It is
to the creators. So I mean, I'm gonna hold.
You're
on
not wrong. I can't. Look. I cannot.
I'm
Disagree
gonna lean on that laurel a little bit.
I can't disagree with you. So we got some changes to our podcast, but we're not gonna announce them. Except I just did. Rogue Matter is about to do some really exciting things, right? So we have our first brand new launch in a long time. We have a brand new website, brand new mobile app. So in a few minutes, we're going to welcome a new Rogue creator. His name is M.A. Del Rosario. He's creator of Kingdom of Tundo. Issue 1, Part 1, Myth and Magic is now live on the website. So Erin, our trusty behind-the-scenes guru, there you go. See, she's got it right on screen here. So for anybody watching the live stream or checking out the Facebook feed, you can see, and Twitter. We're on Twitter, and we're on Twitch also, which I always seem to
shouldn't be on Twitter though.
Well,
because it's a hellscape.
It is a hellscape,
as we established.
Follow us on Twitter. See, that's savvy engineering in the background there. Follow us on Rogue_Matter. So we get to actually do what we do best, I think, which is talk to other creators and talk about the work. So yes, we're still going to talk about Moon Knight. We've got an awesome next week. We'll do a segment called Rogue Matter Presents. That will be our new vehicle for talking about things like Moon Knight and Doctor Strange and all this other stuff. And it comes on right after the Rogue Wave podcast. But the podcast folks, the audio folks, will get to enjoy kind of a more creative show, a more creator-based, a more rogue-based show. And that can include rogue topics as well, too. It doesn't have to always include creators from Rogue Matter, but we're going to just bring on people who are doing interesting things within the comic book and pop culture and ebook and, I'll say it again, pop culture realm, because I think there's a lot of interesting things there. And the usual Hassan is wrong about every opinion he has will follow. So it'll all be part of the same live stream. You're not missing anything, but you're going to get more. You're going to get a taste of the material, which, by the way, you can then read for free. That's the part that we're not actually selling you on anything except this is really cool stuff that you can now go read. You go to roguematter.com right after this interview and go read Kingdom of Tundo #1, and you'll be happy that you did, because it's a great book. So I think it's pretty exciting. Hassan is not showing it because he's got his sunglasses on, but his eyes are like wide right now with excitement.
I mean, well, I'm wrong about everything. So, I mean, even if I showed excitement, I'd be wrong to be showing excitement. So
your opinions are wrong, but not your excitement level. Your excitement level is
my excitement would be my opinion. That's an opinion.
Oh, damn it! You did. You caught me in a vicious loop.
Mm-hmm.
Vicious loop. All right. Well, without further ado, we want to kick this brand new Rogue Wave off by introducing M.A. Del Rosario. He's the creator of Kingdom of Tundo. We want to welcome you to the show. Possibly. There we go.
Wow.
There we go.
Wow.
Hello, guys.
Look at that technology.
Anybody
mention him
on
and he
audio
appears
is like, I don't know what's going on.
Like a wizard.
Yeah. M.A., how are you doing, sir?
I am good. Hello, sir. Hello
Are you
to you guys.
excited today, as excited as Hassan, that Kingdom of Tundo #1 is now on Rogue Matter?
Yes, I am. I haven't slept actually, and
well, that's because you're in the
you are
Philippines
genuinely
also.
just as excited as I am.
I am very excited because it's like, this is the first time that has happened. I'm transcending from just local to the US, and I haven't slept. I was actually flipping through.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool. Now, one of the things, Rogue Matter is a digital publishing company. Now, we do have print options for things. We have Kickstarters and things like that. We're going to open up an Amazon store pretty soon and have, print available options. But the feeling, walk me through the feeling, because I love it. I mean, even now, I've released enough comics, but the feeling never goes away of seeing your stuff, published. Walk me through that feeling.
It's always awesome. It's like walking on clouds, something like that. It's like no, actually, it's like Kingdom of Tundo is actually my baby, and it's like giving birth and sending him off to college, and seeing him and graduate.
I love it.
And
I
right,
love that analogy. I think that's actually that's a wow. You know what? I've never heard that analogy used, but it's
yeah,
absolutely it makes total sense and very,
That's
very
pretty
apropos.
perfect.
Yeah,
yeah.
right. Like,
I'm a proud parent.
So this you had mentioned it was local before.
Hmm.
Talk to us about that journey from from its infancy in your country to now going international.
Well, it's supposed to be a novel. Uh, I was I
Mm.
was thinking of I wrote it down actually years ago, way back when I got out of advertising, got out of the corporate stuff, and tried to do something else. And I thought of um, doing a novel, and it just dawned on me that I can do these things. And later on, yeah, there it is on screen. Later, yeah,
In the flesh.
in the flesh. Yeah, later on, I was doodling panels for it, so I thought, yeah, maybe it's not a novel. So I got all the outline and transcribed it into a script. Actually, the script was handwritten, so
Hmm.
yeah, and I did all doodles, and a couple of friends of mine from way back. We had a group supposed to be we were supposed to be do a local wizards comic no magazine here. That was in the early 90s, but that didn't push through, so we met up again like late 2010 or something like that. And we thought of joining the local conventions, and that's where I showcased the first issue, this one, Kingdom of Tundo.
And
And then it
then
went, yeah.
and then from that point, it I know you said it was published locally, but what made you say, what, let's how many publishers did you send this to before Rogue finally found this? Was it a simple journey? Was it or was it
No,
or is it
was
yeah.
rough. It was rough.
It was not
Yeah.
a simple journey.
Yeah, it was not a simple journey. That's why I'm
Well,
so elated that
yeah, and that's the thing I want, and the reason I asked that question is not to be like, oh wow, it took so long. It's like everyone has these stories, like
yes.
everyone, but they don't tell them, right? They don't tell
Yeah.
about the 99 rejections. They talk about like the one that was successful. But I think it's important, if there's any up and coming creators who are listening, to be like, no, you know what? Things sometimes it's just right place, right time,
Yeah.
right era, right publisher, and things can click. I mean, I can't even tell you how many times where I've been published by publishers, and then I'll pitch them something thinking, well, this is a shoe and they love my work and blah blah blah. Nope, it just doesn't go through, and it can get discouraging. So
Yeah, that's true. There was the time that I was down because one of the publishers that I sent, an indie publisher who is now in Canada, sent me back a reply. It's not really a rejection, but he wanted me to redo everything because let's just say it wasn't for an American market. He just said that, and
got it.
he emailed me that. So I said, okay. Out of the 99 rejections, there was one successful, and which is Rogue Matter, and it didn't even start with Kingdom of Thunder. It was another pitch.
That's right. Which
Was
we'll keep it under wraps now too, because I so being I'm full disclosure, I'm creative director in Rogue Matter, and so there's a team of us, and we look at the pitches, and I saw that one, I was like, this is really interesting, this is really cool, feels very Rogue.
Yeah.
And then you spoke to upper management, and that they always have a way of exploring, and we've discovered Tundo from that, actually, too. It's pronounced Tundo.
Yeah.
I gotta get the enunciation right.
There's no right or wrong on that.
You're very kind. See, you can tell you're not from America. Hassan, what was your initial?
You're gonna make me follow that comment.
Yeah. I gotta get out of there. It works out good. What was your initial take on reading Kingdom of Tundo?
I thought it was very reminiscent, or I think it is very reminiscent of Mike Mignola. It's his work,
yeah.
and most specifically, which I've been recently just talking about a lot, his adaptation of the Dracula, the Bram Stoker's Dracula, and it's kind of got that same feeling to it. It's got got a sequential art feeling, but it's also got a fine art feeling at the same time, with a lot of impressionistic panels and moments of mood over sequential action, arms moving and waving and that kind of thing, and also the prose is very poetic, and some of which we're not allowed to talk to, but I only found that out this broadcast. So
just issue 1 is out right now.
Yes, I know. But there were some things I really wanted to kind of talk about or quote unquote praise, but since we can't do that right now,
praise it as a whole.
But I think the language of it is I haven't seen language like that in a lot of comic books. A lot of comic books try to sound, very prosaic and flowery and kind of lyrical, but it's specifically a part that I'm not supposed to talk about was very much so, and is very, very engaging. So I think I just think it's wonderful. It's also very bold. It's also subdued, but very bold. So it kind of struck me in a lot of ways. It was what are your influences? Can you?
Yeah. Well, Mike Mignola is one of them. But the thing that influenced me with the Brothers 5 is the art from Sandman number 74, John J. Muth. So his use of brush, and I thought that it couldn't be done in comics because I like Chinese and Japanese brush paints, the sumie and all of that. So when I saw that, I said, yeah, you can. So I started doing it I started experimenting it with Tundo. And I am appreciative that you like it. Thank you, sir. And you got the metaphor behind how I do the art for Kingdom of Tundo.
Now, the basis for the book too, and we'll show a little Sandman on screen in a minute or two, just to kind of give the audience who are live streaming a feel for what we're talking about. But it's based in Filipino folklore.
Yes.
Talk to us about what you end up doing in terms of the meat of the actual story itself. Why don't you give like a quick synopsis of the overall story, and then dive into how it's related to the folklore of Filipino folklore.
Okay, the overall story of Kingdom of Tundo is about Bunao Dula, the quintessential leader, supposedly, of the Kingdom of Tundo, which is the bastion of magic in the world of Mayi. Now, Mayi is a mirror of our world. I used real world facts and made them into fantasy. It's because I thought that's why I used Kingdom of Tundo. It was easier for the local readers here to associate with, rather than creating something else but putting in that Filipino aspect.
Mm-hmm.
So there's familiarity with the readers. So it's based on Philippine myth, which is as of today is very, very popular here in the Philippines. The Philippines has like 180 plus natives who live all around the Philippines, and they have their own. Each one of them, well, if not all, have their own mythology. They have their own epics and folklore. most of it are oral. So it's really big. And I just tapped into the Tagalog one, which is a region where I live, the NCR, National Capital Region of the Philippines, where Manila is.
Yeah.
So it's broad. It's really big, but I just tapped into the Tagalog ones. But there are some like monsters that I got from other mythologies from different areas of the Philippines. Put them in there. It's really a mishmash, trying to create something new,
Yeah.
something that I wanted to have something like a Lord of the Rings, but Filipino version, something like an Earthsea, but
Uh-huh.
Filipino fantasy, something like that, just to have an identity for fantasy here in the Philippines.
And that's kind of half the fun, right? I mean, and this is, I think people locally will know, well, this isn't part of the folklore and that isn't. But I think, I mean, we wouldn't, Hassan and I would have no idea that it's not, that it's not like, you're not sticking to the letter of everything that's kind of happening. So there's a
Yes,
fun
Yeah,
aspect
but
to that too, right?
yes.
you
I,
get
I
the
was
high
thinking.
fantasy feel almost immediately, you know?
Yes.
Like
Mhm.
I didn't think Lord of the Rings right away because of the comic book element of it, but the minute you mention Lord of the Rings, it definitely fits in that sphere. It's definitely that wide in scope and kind of sweeping.
Mhm.
So I think the fantasy element comes off regardless of where the actual folklore comes from. For people who are outside of the the culture.
Yes, that's true. One of the main goals actually is to present Filipino fantasy to the world. That's why I wrote it in English and not in Filipino, in Tagalog. They were asking me, some of my readers were asking me, Do you have a Tagalog version of this one?" So I said no, because for one, I'm not eloquent enough to write something like this in Tagalog, and two, the main reason is to present it to the world that this is Filipino fantasy,
Yeah.
in comic book version.
Right.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Lord of the Rings is a big, you could tell it has that epic feeling to it as well. So,
Yes.
um, the first part, kind of walks us through the backstory a little bit of like I said, the world you're creating.
Mm-hmm.
But talk to us about, I'm gonna mispronounce everything. I butcher everything religiously, so it's gonna Bona Dula.
Bunao Dula.
Bunao
It's
Dula. See, I know it's so
Yeah.
close, so close.
It's
I'm gonna get it
Bu.
wrong.
It's Bu now. Yeah.
Bunao Dula, and and
Dula. Yeah.
and and his state of mind when the issue kind of starts and when we first meet him.
Yeah. Well, you first meet because the story is back and forth. So you meet him like he doesn't know who he is. He's wandering in Tundo, like a stranger in a familiar place, and he finds that things are things are not, you know, not good within the realm, because it feels like it's dying. Feels like there's a taint in it, that an itch that he wants to scratch, but he doesn't know what it is. So you have the leader of Tondo, which is a descendant of one of his brothers. You'll find out in the end, in the latter part of part one, and you'll get to meet his brothers later on and what has happened to them. And there's the backstory about his father, about the god Bathala creating his parents. I've taken the liberty of mirroring that legend of Malakas and Maganda,
Hmm.
which is how the myth of the first Tagalogs came. So you have Malakas and Maganda, Malakas meaning strong and Maganda meaning beautiful. So they were created by the god Bathala uh, inside a bamboo tree, and this bamboo tree split, and you have Malakas and Maganda. In this version of Tondo, I have Amain Dula, who is the father of Bunao, and Sinag, who is the mother of Bunao. They came from separate trees, separate bamboo shoots. So there, you also get to meet the oracle, who will give Bunao certain revelations as they walk through his adventures.
Cool. Um, Reading through your bio, this is something where you actually, you were in corporate America for a while, and then you decided to just cut the cord in a different fashion and get into comics. What was it that inspired you to do that? And tell us the story, because I mean, again, I think these kind of stories are so inspirational for folks out there.
I've always wanted to do comics. Well, comics and visual art at the same time, because I'm a visual artist. I had art exhibits before, but comic books were it's story. I also wanted to write. I had short stories published there before, but not successful in the comic book business, because I thought back then, when I was still in corporate America, uh, there was a time that comic books were on the downhill.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't as pop. American comic books here were popular, but the local comic books here were not until a certain time when independent publishers like me, we had our own zines, we had our own Xerox, photocopied comic books that we
Mm-hmm.
sold in Comic Con. It's called Comic Con, but with a K. It's a local convention. So we sold that here, and there was an uptick, and I saw myself, yeah, I can do this. After a while, I went there, and a couple of friends of mine just pushed me, you know, publish it because they liked it, and it's always been in the bloodstream ever since ever since I had that first issue of Sectors, which was a 1980 comic book, also a cartoon.
Hassan, have you ever
Uh,
heard of Sectors? Because I have not. I'm going to plead ignorance here because I've never heard of it.
Me too. I'm gonna
Okay.
have to.
Yeah,
What
that
was
was that.
Sectors?
Sectors was actually a cartoon,
Okay.
and then Marvel came up with the comic book. It's like a 4-issue miniseries, but I got it here.
Gotta
I
Google
wasn't
this.
really, yeah, I wasn't even familiar with American comic books before when I was a kid.
Sectors or sectoids?
Sectors, like
Okay.
a
All right.
Sectaurs. See, I like this. We're educating. It's a 1985 animation.
Yeah, they also Marvel had a comic book, and I
Yep.
had first issue, which I got from a used bookstore. And so I drew. I was doodling, following the how it was drawn, and told my mom that I wanted to work for Marvel, and that was it. That was like, that was the one that pushed me to do comic books. Then I got into XMen, when XMen, back in the 90s, when I had money to buy comic books, but not, just one. That one, yeah, that one.
No, they weren't cheap.
Memories. They weren't cheap. I got the
No.
gatefold one.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they had, like, I think,
For our
was it-
listening
was it-
audience, it's X-Men #1. We're flashing that with Jim Lee and the Jim Lee, Chris Claremont, the original
There were.
send-off.
I think there were 5 different covers, if I
Yeah.
remember the moment correctly.
There was the 4 singles, and then there was the gatefold.
Yeah.
It was the 5th. I couldn't buy all of them, so I got the gatefold, and it started there. And then I stumbled into Sandman, and then told myself that this is the story that I want to do. I got off the superhero stuff. There you are, sir. I got off the superhero stuff, and because I told myself I did try to write superheroes,
Yeah.
but I couldn't. I just I don't know why, but I couldn't deliver as eloquently as I could write something like a Sandman.
Sure. That's kind of funny because I can write superheroes till the cows come home. I was just literally writing a script for my flagship character this morning, and it's just easy. But then something
Yeah.
like Time Trader, where it's more real world and it has supernatural, but it's more real world stuff. Like, I need to do research. Like, I need to dive into it. It's not
That's
not
true.
as easy for some reason.
That's
It's
true.
interesting.
And I like Time Trader too. I was reading it a while ago. Anyway, So
originally you wanted this to be a novel.
yeah, yeah. I thought because I stumbled on a couple of websites where they were uh you could submit your novels without an agent. So I thought, yeah, maybe I can do this, but it really didn't, fit. It I don't know. I lack the energy of writing it down, writing everything, describing everything. But
You lacked the
um,
energy of writing, so you decided to draw
yeah,
the novel.
no. Just for this one, for Kingdom of Tundo, I lack the energy of, it didn't fit well with just writing words, descriptions, and all of that. I had to do something more, I thought. And when I was, because I drew the storyboards and then I wrote the script
Yeah.
because that's how
Okay.
I do it. So so it fell there, and I guess it flowed gracefully, I guess. And if you're gonna say, I got tons of notebooks here with just doodling,
Sketches
scratches,
and
and
yeah.
yeah, everything. That's how I work the comic book. And
with
then I
scratch
later
board?
on, yeah,
Holy cow!
yeah, yeah.
All right, so I'm
So
gonna go back to my art
Nice.
school days. For those, scratchboard is actually like black, and it's black paper. You
mhm.
scratch out. It's you work inversely,
You work
as
black
opposed to
from
like a
black
white
to
sheet of
white.
paper where you're adding inks to it. So I
Yeah,
did
you
not
work
know
Yeah.
from
that
dark to
about
light.
the comic. Wow, that seems so much harder.
No, I was
Yeah,
experimenting
he's
back
talking about
then.
energy,
Yeah,
like
Yeah,
energy to write a book, right? And he's doing a
yeah,
comic book through Scratchboard.
yeah.
So I don't know.
I don't know if it's
I
still
think
there.
we have two different definitions of having energy, because this
well,
seems
he's
way
up at
more
like 2 in the
energetic
morning.
than
The time, or it's 8 in the morning right now. Whatever. The time difference is like a 12-hour time difference. This is airing at 8
Yeah.
o'clock, and so yeah, it'll be like 8 in the morning. So we're basically just keeping him up. Like hopefully let's not kill you. Like that. Let's keep you
No.
alive as much as possible. I think that's always our number one goal. Don't get fired from your job and don't die. Those are
Yes,
our
that's
two
true.
rules
That's true.
on Rogue Wave. Um, Real quick, one more Rogue question, and then I'm gonna jump over to just some more general stuff that's kind of got you excited these days.
Hmm.
One of the things that we're doing here is we've companion podcasts, and we launched today was Tales from Tundo #1, which is episode 1, hosted by the
Tundo.
lovely Bevan. Talk to us about what we can experience in that podcast. That's a little different than just meeting you here in Rogue Wave.
Yeah. It's a lot of banter. It's a lot of explanation in depth to the first issue of Kingdom of Tundo, and um it's really a parallel. It's like, reading and listening to, what do you call those things? When you have a DVD, you have,
Oh yeah, it's like director's
yeah, the
cut
behind,
almost, right?
yeah, it's a behind the scenes, and you got us talking, and there it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of
It's
energy actually in that one.
yeah, no, and Bevan is great with that.
Yes.
She does a lot of hosting for the Cell Company, and she's fantastic. She's able to pull information out of you that I can't. So that's always it's good. We get you from both. We butch you from both sides. All
Yeah.
right, let's round the pop culture train a little bit. What are you currently consuming right now? What are you currently like? What's in your DVD player, if you had a DVD player anymore? What's on your streaming channel? What's
what's a
you know,
DVD, man? What
yeah,
are you
hey,
talking
I know, right?
about?
I
Still got those.
just dated myself by saying that.
Yeah.
And
So
what's on
do
your
I.
stack?
Don't worry.
Like,
So do I.
what's in your stack of comics right now? So go around and what give us what you're consuming right now.
All right. Just finished Maze Runner. No, Maze Book
Oh,
by Jeff Lemire,
okay.
Okay.
and I got Thor. Uh, just finished, I think, The God of Hammers. Those are my favorites at the moment. What else? What else? What else? I like Halo, the
Oh, the new
series.
The new
series.
series. Okay.
Yeah, the new series.
I just didn't want to
And
get another streaming network. I'm kind of like I don't want to sign up for it anymore. I like Hassan, you've complained about this. It's like cutting the cord, and you're like,
Yeah, but I already had it, so it was just because it's Paramount Plus, so I
Yeah.
already had the channel. So
I wonder
I've
if
been
I
able
have.
to
Do I
watch
have it if I have like cable TV? Because I still actually have cable TV. I have not cut the cord yet.
That's your problem.
I'm okay with it.
Let's not go down that rabbit hole, but that's your problem right there.
Ma, are you a cord cutter? Have you cut cord completely?
No.
Mhm.
You still have cable here, although we have internet TV as well. Because my father-in-law likes to watch cable TV, and we
Yeah.
get the news because of cable and because of internet as well.
Yeah. I'm a sports guy too, so it's like live sports. I don't want to. I know you can find it on like Hulu and you can find it on,
Yeah.
but I'm like, I don't want to work for this. Like, if
Yeah.
you've gotten anything from this interview, it's that I like to do the least amount of work possible. I just want people to bring me stuff, which is cool.
Yeah, you say to the guy who did over 100-page scratch
know,
board comic book.
Dude, this guy is so prolific though. I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm part of me admires him, and the other part of me is like very jealous of people like that because I'm like, man,
I think the word you're looking for is intimidated.
No.
That's how I feel.
Not intimidated because I feel like I could do it but at the same, like, it's one of those things where I'm like, I could do that. I don't, but I could.
You can't. Anyone can actually. Just put your mind to it.
What's your closing message for all those folks out there, and where can they find you on the interwebs?
Closing message. Well, read Kingdom of Tundo.
that's the best one. That's
Well
solid.
done.
I like that.
Yeah. Go to Rogue Matter. We got a lot of stuff in there. Got this, and pretty interesting because a lot of people here are going to Rogue Matter right now because I've been advertising it, the website.
Awesome.
So you can find me at Paper Drawing Studio. That's one word for both Facebook and Instagram, and yes, Twitter, and at paper_drawing.
Very cool. M.A. Del Rosario. It is Kingdom of Tundo, Myth and Magic Part 1. It's live on Rogue Matter right now. You can go read it for free. You can consume the podcast for free, so you can learn some more stuff about that as well too. It's been a pleasure having you on. Thank you everyone for joining us on the new Rogue Wave. And don't worry, next week we've got actress Celia Au. She's got a new film called In a New York Minute, so we get to talk to that Rogue. But then we're also going to do a little Moon Knight. We're going to look back on the 6 episodes because the 6th episode will be out next week, and we'll do a little Rogue Matter Presents. A Rogue reaction to Moon Knight as well. We'll see you guys next week. Hi guys, Mike Dolce here from the Rogue Wave podcast. If you like this video, please feel free to like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. It really helps us out. Leave a comment, let us know what you'd like to see in future episodes, and tune in every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern for a brand new episode of the Rogue Wave podcast.